What's going on? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all Happy podcast. I'm your host and coach, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house.
Got a little tongue-tied there, but today we're going to be covering 7 things we wish we knew before we started lifting. I love making these episodes. We did one on YouTube way back because it's really fun reflecting, and having been lifting about 13 plus years now, which is absolutely nuts. I guess actually closer to 15 years, like since I've truly been lifting. I'd say lifting properly about 13 years, but I've learned some things. Being in the game, I've seen some things, and I carefully curated my top tips, and I think you're really going to like the last one, and you definitely want to make sure not to miss it. So I'm going to jump into it with my first tip, and that is form over weight. And I've said this before too, and I've never liked this tip because I thought it was super obvious, but I really thought on it lately because I was watching like early videos of my early squats and my early deadlifts, and now they like make me cringe a little bit. It's not to say they're horrible, but it really is cool to see how much I perfected my form to this date. And when I started, I lifted quite heavy. I was still squatting like 405. I was deadlifting high fours into the fives, but it just was really suboptimal when it didn't need to be. And a lot of strength is actually like utilizing your biomechanics and your setup as properly as possible. So really learning the basic things. Like I'll give you some examples. Like a lot of people, any new person who will bench, our gym is teen fitness, so they let teens get free memberships, which is awesome for them. That's actually how I started, which is pretty cool. But they'll start with their elbows flared up, and it actually puts a lot of stress and pressure on your shoulder joint as well as your chest. It can cause injury. And the issue is you'll learn that way and you'll keep doing that way for months and months. And that adage that it's harder to teach an old dog new tricks than a new dog is so true. And that's where, like, when I started, even if you've been lifting for a year or 3 years, I would highly recommend like making your form as perfect as it can be, because you can get away with it for years, long time, and then one time you could do something wrong and there goes that. You could be injured, you could mess yourself up, you can consistently be doing damage to joints when you don't need to be. Whereas if you learn how to do it super right from the get, that's what you'll continue to prime and learn. And it's funny, I was reflecting, I'm like, I probably squatted like thousands, if not tens of thousands of times, which is crazy to think of, right? Like in different sessions, like it really is interesting. So if you can do everything as optimally as possible, you're going to get the most hypertrophy out of the movement. So you're actually going to get the most engagement to actually grow your muscles, work them in healthy, full ranges of motion. You're going to stay the safest. You're going to feel the most confident, and you're going to avoid potentially really annoying injuries, whether small or big. So you just want to drill these things over and over correctly. And if you're not sure where to start with your form, like we have a ton of form YouTube videos, and even from my early days to now, it's often like tiny little cues, like that bench example I gave you, that can change everything. Or if you're someone who's like squatting really awkwardly, right? Like you got your heels lifting up super high off, or your back super bent, or you're doing a half low bar, high bar, like you might not even know you're doing these things. So the best thing you can do is like watch our form videos, get a personal trainer, whatever you want to do. Obviously, one's more expensive than the other. And like the other thing too is you want a good personal trainer. I see 90% of personal trainers I see day to day have their clients doing stuff so wrong, and it irks me to the core because I'm like, this poor person is paying $100 an hour to learn how to do things incorrectly. So that's where it is really tough. But I definitely recommend like go through our form videos, get our free form guide. Like all this is totally free, no pressure to you. Film yourself doing movements. I know it's a little bit awkward, but you'll think in your mind like you're the coolest person ever. You're doing all these things great. And like it's even, I know with like anything, like we'd like film us on our motorcycle or something driving, and we'd be like, oh, you know, in your head you feel so cool, you're so fast, you look at it and I'm like too big for the bike, it looks like I'm going slow. Like it's funny when you actually see things from a different perspective. So when you see your form, you'll be like, oh my gosh, my heels are super high, or my bench looks really awkward, or I'm not getting the depth on my squat that I thought I was. And you have to consider, if you're half squatting for years, you're getting half the results you can effectively get if you do it properly. So once again, I said this before and I've kind of thought, oh, everyone knows this, but if you really learn like primo form, like you will save yourself so much headache, and your physique will just look so much fuller and better and healthier and balanced because of it. And it doesn't require a ton of effort. Like if you spend a night going through everything, like maybe even picking one thing a week, like you will improve so much.
Yeah, I think one of the hardest things is like someone who's done it for so long, like the wrong way, like actually trying to teach them to then do it the right way. So no matter where you're at, like there's no time like the present, like now, to just really start to focus focus on that. And even if you are like 2 years into lifting or like a couple years, it's still a great time versus like 10 years from now, like having to relearn the form. I just see so many people making that mistake. So
Yeah, and I'm going to actually link that full form playlist. We're still actually actively uploading YouTube videos. Like we've been trying to do a lot of new ones and they've gotten like 50 million views over time. So it's actually kind of like what blew our YouTube up, which is really cool. And we have a free form guide that comes alongside that once again is totally free. It's like a little cheat sheet in your pocket to make sure you're doing it right. So if you're not even sure if your form's perfect, I would definitely go through those, go through the form guide. I'll link that down below.
yeah, and next up, huge common mistake is just, and something I wish I kind of knew before was just that genetics matter, but don't define you. So even in my early years of lifting, I remember being pretty obsessed with it, like thinking about my genetics versus Josh's genetics or like just different body types. I remember I used to always think about that. And I think it was a thing like quite a while ago where everyone would be talking about here's the way you should be training as a mesomorph, as an ectomorph, and just always thinking about that. I'm like, hey, I'm on my own journey. Let me focus on myself, like whether I get abs at this percentage or this percentage, like let me just focus on myself and consistently try to be better for myself. And that's it, right? No comparison, no needing to worry too much about how I was built, how I'm structured. Let me aim to be the best version of myself, become healthy, become strong. And that's what matters most. And even on that subject, like a little bit of a different twist, I see a lot of people with self-limiting beliefs like as the journey goes on. So this isn't exactly at the very beginning, but when people think, oh, I've turned 30, my metabolism goes downhill, right? I've heard this tons of times. I've hit 35. I can't do what I used to be able to do. I've got kids. I can't, whatever. All these different self-limiting beliefs, like on top of genetics, like people are talking about their body type still, even if they have been lifting for years. Some people say when they reach a certain age, like this is when it all goes downhill. So kind of like a whole theme of this is just like try not to think that way. I've made that mistake in different ways, and I see a lot of people also making this common mistake as well.
Yeah, and the next thing I wish I knew was to really enjoy being a beginner. I think being a beginner is so fun. Everything is so shiny, so new. Any new exercise you learn is crazy. Getting a pump the first time, being sore the first time. And I would even say you're still like kind of a beginner, like for the first 3 years, give or take, right? Because you can just see so much progress in that time so fast. And I think also the ceiling is so far away. And it's funny, but it does get kind of lonely at the top. Like results come a lot slower, strength gains come a lot slower. There's less that's novel and new. Like there's nothing better than going to the gym with someone who is a beginner and doing a whole new workout and being like, oh, this is crazy. Like all these fun new exercises, learning supersets, drop sets. So I think I really enjoyed that time, but like I just wanted to be like, oh, I want to just get to the top of this, be as strong as I can, do the most weights. But I think like even just having that patience to really enjoy it for everything it is, to enjoy every milestone. Like I remember it was such a big goal to be able to bench one plate. Like benching never came easy to me. I have really long arms, like a wider wingspan, and like I never had a huge chest. So bench was really hard for me, and it was really took me quite a while to be able to bench a plate. And then when I did that, I'm like 185 would be like the world. It'd be so cool. And I got that. And then I said 225, like, and that's a pretty big one for bench. So I think that was really memorable. And then 315, and then I've got to 400. 405 has still eluded me, but what's so fun is like just enjoying this process and just enjoying being new, enjoying that you'll do some things wrong, that you might not be as strong as everyone else. Like it's fun, just enjoy it. And I even for me, like I still love seeing the teen fitness people come in just because it's cool, like seeing people figure out the gym. They're doing like everything horribly, horribly wrong, but they're in there, they're learning to grind. You see like the little dudes trying to like struggle to lift some heavy weight. Like it just brings me back. And I look really fondly at that time because I just think it was so exciting and new and fresh. And obviously once you lift for like 15 years, you find other areas to really enjoy. But if you are newer, like don't see it as a bad thing because it's really exciting. Results come super fast. You see really fast improvement in strength and your physique, and yeah.
Yeah, and you can be hitting PRs every day. There's new exercises that you have to learn. Like I think there's something so cool about like being able to learn something new where it's just like, man, I got to master this. And I know a lot of times people will push that down the road where they're thinking, I just want to be perfect at my deadlift form and I just want to be able to hit this number. But once you reach that, there's always a new milestone. So definitely whatever level you're at, appreciate it, learn from there, and yeah, just enjoy every moment of it. But I'd say if you were to just sum up like one mistake I made, and I know Josh will agree with this, like in the past was just not having a coach and just not actually having like accountability. Now, once again, a lot of what we've done has just been self-taught, trial and error, a lot of mistakes, a lot of successes. But to me, I am such a big fan of just doing the right stuff and like having just not wasting time, right? Not wasting time, not wasting money, and not wasting energy. And unfortunately, for the first little bit, there was a lot of trial and error. To me, especially now being a coach, I've realized like I can genuinely save people years and years of time, money, and energy, especially with the example of the form example, right? So a lot of times people will have the wrong form for years, then they end up having to relearn it, then they end up having to hire in-person trainers to fix it. And there's just a lot of time spent there. But I would say nutritionally, there's so many mistakes. And even myself, I remember just following random meal plans that didn't work. I just tried so many different things and I didn't even realize flexible dieting was a thing. I didn't realize I could have an ice cream cone and see results. I wasted a lot of time and a lot of mental capacity and just a lot of results just trying to figure it out because I wanted to be a hero and I didn't want to hire, someone. My ego was in the way, right? Especially as like a younger dude, like one of the hardest things for us would just to be like, I'm going to hire someone else to do all the work. Like instead I'm like, I can figure it out. Like I'll be totally fine. And then just years goes by and I just didn't see quick enough results. And even for a lot of people, they don't realize, but in their beginning years of lifting, you have the most potential to see muscle gain. And the studies have shown that. Like if you're on year 8 of lifting, it's going to be a lot harder to gain muscle. If you're on year 2 and you're newer to the gym, you will see so much more gains, so many more PRs, a lot more progress. You can gain muscle way faster. So you just don't want to waste those years. And I wish I hired a coach, but now I'm helping others. So that's what's most important. And on that note, if you are someone who wants to see better results, you want to stop wasting time in the gym and you want to feel your absolute best while losing fat and building muscle, all you have to do is check out mine and Josh's website. You can see a ton of transformations as well as just fill out a form submission. It should only take you a few minutes. First link down below. If you're looking to speed up the process, feel your absolute best, and finally get the body of your dreams, we will be there for you through all of the mistakes, through all the lessons learned, through all the great moments. We're here for you and we'll get you guaranteed results.
And for my next tip, I would say learn how to bulk and cut and maintain the right way. I definitely went about this wrong. Like with bulking, I would just eat anything and everything, more of a dirtier bulk. And I just remember like being tired going upstairs. My skin felt a little greasy. I think I did it maybe a little too aggressively for some times. Like obviously you need to know what you're doing, but I think when you can be more rigid and stick to plans, it's better. I also remember like when we were cutting and like we were competing for a physique show, like just eating like next to nothing and suffering and being miserable, and like it was just not the move. Like I think there's definitely a smarter way to go about it. And as I've advanced in my journey, I've definitely learned like you can be way more calculated. Like even in a bulk, like if you're gaining a pound to even 2 pounds a week, like you don't need just be eating garbage to do it. Like you could still definitely do like instead of 80-20, maybe 60-40 or 70-30. And like, once again, food is fuel and like it just has so many benefits outside of just being food. And I think eating good food that's really rich in micronutrients that makes you feel great, that digests well, like it's such an advantage. And same with cutting, like you don't need to rush a cut per se, but you also want to be intelligent about how you do it and the quality of what you're doing. So I would definitely say like not to do any of these things too drastically, but to have set plans, to understand scheduling, to understand after cutting, like reverse diets and all that great stuff, and getting back up to maintenance and restoring metabolism. Like all these things are so essential, and they make it way easier, because when you struggle and you suffer, it is just not a fun feeling. So this is a big one.
Yeah, next up, you want to celebrate personal records and always set new goals. You have to learn to love this part of the journey. And even myself, having lifted almost as much time as Josh, like when I look back on some of the moments and some of my milestones, I really feel like I didn't appreciate them enough. And even I would like look back on when I hit a 475 pound squat. I remember one of my first thoughts was, all right, I'm going to hit 500 next. And I just like didn't really appreciate these different milestones. And I find that this part of the process, like I said, you're always kicking the can down the road. You're always thinking of that next thing. And I do believe it's important to be driven, to be goal oriented and all that great stuff. But I do really believe there's something to be said about celebrating when you reach a new milestone. And this can come in so many different forms, whether you just buy yourself a new pair of workout gear or just like share the win on Instagram, or like just really appreciate those wins. Because even like we were saying, like those wins do come a little bit less often as the years go on. So I think it's so important to just like value that and not just think about what's next. But at the same time, on top of that, I find the moments where I struggled the most in the last little bit, like let's say 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I didn't really have something I was striving for. So I wasn't consistently goal setting. So you have to have that balance of being able to say, hey, I appreciate what I've done. I'm happy for myself for losing this much weight. But then also at the same time, you have to balance like still being goal oriented. Like you don't want to just be like, hey, I've lost enough weight, I'm done now, and just like stop progressing towards something, because that's when things get tricky. So I'd say this balance of appreciating, but also being goal driven to focus on what's next, like that right balance is what's really important. And I made a lot of mistakes within this where I didn't enjoy the journey at some parts of it, and I learned from my mistakes. So that's going to be number 6.
Yeah, and last but not least, the one I told you to stay for is avoid like shiny object syndrome. You will go so wrong avoiding the core of what works, and that's getting great recovery, training hard, and eating right by these fads and phases. And it's not to say you can't experiment in your fitness journey, but if every time you're like, oh, like I'm feeling like I've gained too much fat, I'm not bulking anymore, I need to cut. Then you start cutting, you're like, I'm too small, I need to bulk. And then you're like, I don't like my workout routine, I'm going to powerlift. And then you stop powerlifting and you're like, I need to do CrossFit, I need to do F45, I need to do circuit classes. I'm going to like, you need to really stick to what works. And there's always so many fun shiny things, like even like a high rocks. It's not to say you can't do it. Like I'm sure there's benefit towards training towards something like that. But if you're never sticking to the core of what you need to do and like really staying on your path to success, and you're just constantly jumping from trend to trend, from diet to diet, you're doing keto, you're doing high carb, you're like just flipping around, like this is brutal, because you really want to develop excellence in the basics. And then obviously how you do things, there is a lot of wiggle room. You can still do a lot of things, but you really want to make sure, like I said, you're lifting smart, you're eating really well, and you're recovering well. And then anything else can be extra and can be a bonus. But in fitness, there's just so many different distractions that you can follow that can lead you in weird paths and can take you away from where you need to be, especially with misapplied effort. And there's also ways to really utilize these things like as fun little bonuses to your journey, or to be smart about it. But I just find the average person gets so distracted by things, and they really like delineate from what they need to be doing and where they could be going and progressing. So once again, those fundamentals are everything. It's boring, it's not sexy, but it's the reality. So the more you can just stick to what you know works, and like don't underestimate the power of progressive overload, of just consistently getting stronger, learning to handle more volume, handle more load, and to do it better, because that alone is how you build a truly incredible physique muscle wise. And the same with nutrition, eating the good foods, eating your protein, hitting your calories, working on whatever your path is, bulking, cutting, maintaining, sticking to that, being consistent towards it, and really pushing towards your goal. Like when you do that, you just absolutely cannot be beat. So avoid always falling for that new shiny thing, or that whatever documentary comes out and changing up everything you do. Like stick to those basics, do them well. But those are 7 things we wish we knew before we started lifting. You can avoid all these mistakes and more by working with us one-on-one. So you can submit an application, first link down below. Also be sure to get that free form guide, go through those YouTube videos, maximize that form. All available for you in the show notes. Lots of goodies there. So be sure to check that out. But thank you so much for tuning in with us today. Peace out.